thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Resources for Those Facing Hard Times. This webinar is being presented by the Rental Housing Work Group. The Rental Housing Work Group is a coalition of organizations and individuals committed to expanding affordable quality rental options for individuals and families who face barriers to housing. Using collaboration, coordination, education, and risk management, we bring nonprofits together with rental housing owners and managers to advance the goal of a home within reach of every southwestern Pennsylvania. The Rental Housing Work Group is formed under the Southwestern Pennsylvania Housing Alliance, which is a broad-based venue for persons interested in the community development, affordable housing, and homeless arenas to come together, discuss trends, share resources, and develop strategies to meet the housing needs of our community. Today we have a presentation on local resources that can be accessed by landlords, tenants, and human service providers. The presenters are Ann Fogaros from United Way, PA 211 Southwest, Andrea Bustos from the Allegheny Link, and James Weiler and the supervisory team from Crisis Resolve. First, let me introduce you to Ann.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad you're here with us to learn about services for people facing some very tough times. I am with PA 211 Southwest, a program of United Way of Southwestern Pennsylvania. For those of you who are not familiar with PA 211, we are a 24/7 365 I'm sorry, I'm trying to advance my slide and it's not working. Anyway, thank you. We are a 24/7 365 center for people who need help with human problems. That can be anyone who can't pay their rent, is in a rental situation, who is having difficulty staying in that situation. Maybe they're facing difficulties with their utility bills, with their food bills. So we are what I describe as all ages, all problems, all incomes. People, as they travel through life, can hit bumps in the road that if they get a little bit of help that they can resolve the issue and continue on. And it's 211's hope that by connecting callers to services that we can help their families thrive and continue on the path to self-sufficiency. So 211 does this with a team of contact specialists who are trained in how the human service delivery system works. We are strong believers in lots of training for our team, and so they get a minimum of 11 hours of training each month on services that are important in the community so that the referrals that they're making to agencies are always up to date. We do serve 11 counties in southwestern Pennsylvania. We also were awarded a contract earlier this year to expand to 5 counties in Philadelphia. So we're very pleased with that recognition of our work. In southwestern Pennsylvania, we go up to Mercer, over to Indiana, and down to Greene County. We are a part of the PA 211, Pennsylvania 211 network, which means that we have access to a statewide database so that as calls come in from other areas as well, whether that be from a mom in Kansas who's worried about her son who's about to be evicted in Allegheny County, and we do get those calls, we can provide assistance. We can refer people in Allegheny County worried about loved ones in other areas to those services as well. So please don't take our geographic service area as an indication that that's the only area that we can serve. We get calls from individuals and 75% of our calls are from women. We also get calls from community helpers, I'll call them. We get them from agencies. We get calls from churches. We get calls from landlords who really don't want to evict the individual who they know is having hard times, and call us to see if there's anything that can be done to help. We are happy to provide information to third parties about services that might be helpful. Of course, to provide guidance to an individual, we may need to ask personal questions that only that person would know. So we do ask that they simply ask that the individual call us directly. I'm going to advance to the next slide. But anyone can call us, because the more information the community has about services, the better we all are. All of our staff is required to pass a professional credentialing exam. They also are trained to provide a basic response in a crisis situation, because as 211 has grown, our calls do range from very specific questions on what is the phone number for a food pantry to I'm really down and out, and I don't know what my next steps are going to be. So the staff is all trained to talk to people, to provide guidance, and to stay with them until we are able to safely transfer them to a service like Resolve that you will hear more about in this call. 211 is about 4.5 years old, and as our number has grown in popularity, so have the severity of our calls. So don't think that 211 can only handle the simple information calls. We are really there for all types of calls. Although we are not crisis staff, we will make sure people are connected to the appropriate staff depending upon their need. And that means that we will warm transfer to an agency like Resolve if the situation warrants it. We also, from time to time, have had to call 911, as I'm sure the other agencies on this call have. So whatever the caller needs, we are in a situation to provide that service. We do have a database of over 8,000 services. Our information is updated on a regular basis so that you can know that the referrals you're getting are current and based on what the individual needs, so that as an individual we'll talk to our call specialist. And let me stop and tell you a little bit about what happens when you call. The resource navigator or our call specialist will talk to the individual about their situation. I know that many landlords will be listening to this call and agencies that deal with housing issues. So we will talk to the person about the situation. We open with, tell me a little bit about what's going on, because it's important that we figure out what agencies the person has already spoken to and what's worked and what's not worked, so that we can figure out if this is a situation where services simply do not exist. And in those cases, we certainly would refer to food pantries and other ways that a person can stretch their budget. And we do understand that sometimes it may take a couple of calls to agencies before the person understands. Sometimes, however, it's a communication issue, and the agency is working really hard on the caller's behalf, and the person we would connect that person back to their services, and that is something we do on a regular basis. So we figure out where the person is, what they tried, and give them information that will help them move forward. That can be referrals to agencies. It might be education on how the process works. It might be in listening to their situation, in everything they've tried and reassuring them that they are on the right path, they're connected to the right agencies, even if they're on a waiting list, which sometimes happens. So sometimes it's people don't understand the situation, and we are happy to reinforce that information with them. We have had calls from landlords who very much want to keep an individual in their home. We are always willing to talk through what the services are so the landlord can either tell the individual about those services or refer the person to us. We would be happy to mail out some 211 cards that can be shared with individuals as well, because sometimes you as a landlord may not want to get into detail about, there's a service that might help you, or I notice the kids are running out to the school bus without coats, but things that concern you and you'd like to be able to help. So we do have some information that can be shared. Our main categories of help are housing, utilities, and food. Those are where our calls come in the most. We have calls on all topics, but on a daily basis, we get about 75% of our calls are basic needs. So that is an area where the staff spends most of their day talking to individuals. And as we talk about those needs, we recognize that an individual calling us may be calling about their utility bill because they just received that bill in the mail. However, they also may be struggling with food. They may not want to talk about food that day because they're concerned about the $572 utility bill that's sitting on the kitchen table. We understand that, so we intertwine a lot of messages in our discussions with callers so that we can let them know that there are other services available that may help them. We always like to make sure people are connected to health care, are connected to utility assistance programs. In the summer, are connected to summer food. We do ask people if we can text them information about these services so that we can connect them with services even before they realize, it's time to apply for energy assistance. We give them a reminder because we want people to utilize programs that can strengthen their families. Okay. So as I wait one moment for the slide to refresh, there are 3 ways to contact 211. First, you can dial 211. If you are in an office situation and it doesn't work, we do have other numbers that you can call to reach us. But if you happen to find yourself in that situation, I suggest simply using your cell phone to call us. Business phones need to be programmed to reach 211, just as phones used to need to be programmed to dial 911. So if you are in that situation, you should talk to your phone person, explain that 211 calls are not connecting and that it's a process similar to 911. Second is people can text their zip code to 898-211. Everyone knows that people prefer to text rather than call, so that is a way to access 211. It's quick, it's easy. Your responder is the same person as you would get on the phone, so they are using the same information, and they're equipped with the same assessment and referral skills so that a person can text us, and we have had texts recently from a homeless mom on the street with 2 kids who didn't want to talk but certainly wanted information and stayed with us over the course of a day, off and on, looking for information that could help her and her 2 kids. We also have had family members text us for information for their family members. You can also chat with us on our website if you go to pa211sw.org, in the bottom right-hand corner of the web page, our chat box will open up and you can simply type in a question. This is extremely popular with case managers who need a website, who have a quick question about how to get services for a family, who want to know who can provide in-home services, who is providing holiday programs. All of those types of questions are being asked by text and chat on a daily basis. As we get those requests, we also send out information. We text out referral information to individuals. I did notice on the roster for this call that there's some agencies represented on this call. I would encourage you to make sure your information is current, because 211 is finding that individuals in contact with us would prefer that we text them the information about the services. So we want to make sure that all of the information in your service listings is correct and accurate, so that when an individual stores that information in their phone or computer for future reference, that they have that. We are here 24/7, and we encourage you to call us. We're happy to talk with landlords about situations and to connect people to services. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Anne. And now we have Andrea Bustos from Allegheny Link.